How's it going, bros? My name is PewDiePie! I was talking with my mom last night, and I was talking about how all these YouTubers have like a sign-on that they do at the beginning of every video. How's it going, bros? My name is PewDiePie! That's my favorite one. But there's also, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Boogie2988 coming at you live through the power of the internet. And, of course, Philip DeFranco. Sup, you beautiful bastards! There was some guy who edited a video of just every time Philip DeFranco says sup at the beginning of his videos, and it's quite impressive how long it lasts. It's like 10 minutes of him just going sup, 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 sup. But that's not what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about this movie Encanto. Disney film. Probably one of the best ones that's come out from from that specific studio, the Disney Animation Studios. I was thinking about them in general recently because it was only very recently that Disney started. They actually created a logo bumper for Disney Animation Studios, because it used to be that's what Disney was. They did animation. Disney Animation Studios is the that's the studio. But then they branched out so much and started doing so many different things, including having different animation studios. So outside of the studio that's called Disney Animation Studios, they also have other things like Pixar, for instance, among many others. And so they had to specify. And so it's only been in the last decade or so, or even less maybe, that they've actually started putting like a little logo bumper in front of their mainline canon films. But anyway, Encanto is one of those movies. And, okay, so this movie, Encanto is interesting to me. I actually was making a video about Disney movies last year, and I got really far into it. I put a lot of editing into it. It was like a really big deal. And then I was eventually like, nah, I just don't like this anymore. So I stopped working on it. But Encanto was one of the ones I had the most thoughts on. And the thing about Encanto, right? It takes place in Colombia, and it takes place in a, I'm not really certain what time period. It seems a little bit vague. I'm not sure if it was really supposed to have a specific time period. We know that it takes place like kind of in the same rough generational time period as like some sort of a war or civil conflict in Colombia, because the grandma escapes from something like that at the beginning, or not at the beginning of the movie, but like at the beginning of the story. But anyway, that kind of puts it, I think one thing that's kind of interesting is how fairy tales have kind of shifted in time into the 20th century. Like, for a while, like Disney's Cinderella from 1950, that firmly takes place in a 19th century kind of environment. But we're seeing now with stuff like Guillermo del Toro movies, for instance. Like, he likes to set his movies in fascist countries. And so, but that's a 20th century thing. And so we're seeing more of that, and it's sort of like the early 20th century is becoming like the new medieval times for us. It's becoming the new, like, you know, long ago time period for fairy tales to take place. And that seems to be roughly when, like Like, I would guess that Encanto, if I had to guess, it would probably be like 1948 or something. Like, after World War II, but still like really close to World War II. That's kind of the vibe I get. Which is interesting because that's kind of around the time when Disney was making movies about South America. Specifically, Saludos Amigos. That's a movie that they made that was about South America in that rough time period. But okay, so what's the deal? Why am I talking about this movie? Well, it's a little bit hard to explain, which is kind of why I'm beating around the bush here. But I think Encanto really is like, it's a fairy tale perfect for the modern world. And here's why. With all of the sort of magic that's involved in this movie, there's this implicit sense that the life that they're showing in this movie is it's a fantasy, it's a fairy tale, it doesn't exist. And that's interesting because the life that they're showing in this movie is kind of the life that I think a lot of people wish they could live. So the premise of the movie is that Grandma and her husband were escaping some sort of war or civil conflict or gang war or something happening in Colombia. And then they somehow the husband dies. I don't remember how that happened, but Grandma finds this candle, this magic candle, and the candle creates this like safe space for her and her family to live in, and the community around them, I guess. And in that safe space, there's a house, a big old house for her family. And all the members of her family end up being bestowed with these like magical gifts, so they have powers that they can do. And basically, all of the members of that family, that family is sort of like the leading family in this little isolated, safe community that they have. And all the members of this family have superpowers, and they can help the community around them with various things. Like, the one girl is super, super strong, and she can like lift a whole house and stuff like that. The mom is a healer, like she can make food that heals people. And so like all of them have a place carved out for them in this world, and like they're supposed to be there in this community. And we know that because every time, you know, one of them is born, or not born, or reaches a certain age, I guess, they get their gift, and they also get a room to themselves, and the house just magically creates these rooms. So it's like there's like this magic that affirms their existence. It affirms their place in this community. And their magic gift also is what affirms this place in their community. Like it establishes, okay, this is what I can do for the community. And so like everyone needs me, and I have like an established place that makes sense. And also they all live together in this one house. The whole family lives in this one house, which is like, you know, and it's an extended family kind of thing, which I guess is more common in South America, but it's not very common here. And so what I find interesting about this movie is that it's like, yeah, okay, you got a community where everyone has a place, everyone matters, everyone has a purpose, everyone is valued, and that is the great sort of magic fairy tale twist. That is the thing that doesn't exist. That is the fake reality that we are planting ourselves in. And so it's like an implicit acknowledgement that this way of living, like having a strong sense of community and family, is on the way out. Because in order to imagine that, we have to imagine it in this magic place where, you know, all the bad people are kept out, and it's like this perfect, you know, hidden valley in the mountains where nobody can see them. And nobody can ruin the party, because, you know, you venture outside and what do you got? You got like people harvesting coca leaves, and it's not fun. And so, but then there's also the character Bruno, right? And the thing about him, he's like he's another thing that makes this a modern fairy tale. Because he's basically like the depressed Zoomer, you know? Like he's like the guy who's just retreated from life and is just on his computer all day and never sees the sun. And it's funny because what's really funny about the characters that like we're led to believe for like the first half of the movie that Bruno left, that he just disappeared one day, never came back. But he actually stayed in the house the whole time. Like he never left. He never left. And the only reason he seemed to disappear is because he was hiding. He was hiding from everyone else because he thought that nobody would like him anymore. So he really is like, he's like me, you know. He's like the depressed Zoomer who just retreats from his family, retreats from his community. But like, there's nowhere else to go. That's the thing. Like, because if he goes outside the magical Encanto, blah 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 blah, then he's just gonna be, you know, surrounded by the same shit that Grandma was fleeing earlier in the story. And so, like, why would you want to do that? There's no better place to live than home. But home is also not a very hospitable place to be sometimes. And so it's like, that's the self-isolation. So we have the communitarian feeling and the implicit recognition that outside is the world of isolated, atomized man. And then within that, you have the man who is self-isolated and self-atomized because like something in him has become alienated from the rest of his community. I don't know, I just find that the movie has a lot of resonance for this specific time period, because there is, I think, a great sense of a loss of human connection in this period. And we see that with Bruno, and we see that with sort of the implication of contrast between this tight-knit community where everyone is valued and the outside world. We see a sort of understanding of what the creators of this movie valued or felt was missing in life, and wanting to represent that as a fairy story. I don't know, I just found it interesting on that level. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's one of Disney's better movies from recent years. That, and it's just like the Lin-Manuel Miranda songs have a lot of, well, he has a very lyrical style, very wordy style, very verbose style, and it definitely worked in this one. And they did a lot of great experimentation with the colors and whatnot in those sequences. So there's other things about the movie that worked too, but I thought that the general premise kind of really elevated the thing. And I also like the whole aspect of how Granny, her one sin is that she didn't take anything for granted. That's an interesting idea, that in really trying to appreciate what she had and not lose what she had and appreciate the gift she was given, that desire to preserve ended up kind of being her own undoing. It became the undoing of the whole gift she was given. And so it's an interesting message of balance you got there as well. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that movie. I guess that's it. I need a sign off. Let's do After Prison Show. That's it, guys. Until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!